everyone! So for today's card I started off with a piece of Stampin' Up! Crumb Cake cardstock, and I just used the embossing buddy there, and it just leaves a powder on the cardstock so that embossing powder doesn't stick to any of the other areas. And then I inked up this large love stamp from my All About Love sentiment set with Stampin' Up's Whisper White ink. And then I used Detail White embossing powder. Again, this is from Stampin' Up. And just dump that over a coffee filter, and then I heat set it with my heat tool. Of course I cut like a large chunk of this out because it's boring to watch. But once I had it all heat set, I put the embossing powder back in the container because otherwise I end up knocking things over and making a huge mess. So that was done, and then I used my glitter cleanup cloth. This is the same piece I showed in the review video like a couple weeks ago. So got everything cleaned up, and now it's on to the cards. So I decided I wanted to color in these letters, so I just took an R27 Copic marker, and for something like this you don't need to use a Copic. You can use any marker, or pencil crayons even, anything would work. I tried to be careful. I didn't want to get the marker on the white of the embossing because it doesn't look as nice, but I realized I could just use my colorless blender to remove any of the parts that went over onto the embossing. So I just used the colorless blender to pick up all that, the red that went onto the white, and then just scribbled it off onto just a scrap piece of a sticky note there, so that I'm not just smearing the red around and making a mess. So once that was done, I'm using a white piece of CC Designs cardstock as my card front, and then the Echo Park Yours Truly pattern paper. So I grabbed 3 different papers of red and then the 2 other ones, just something for a bit of contrast, and then use my Spellbinders heart dies to die cut all of these. You can see I'd run the hearts through with a larger die and then run the heart through again with a smaller die to get just outlines of hearts. So it kind of gives you a whole lot more use to your dies, and I had this idea in mind and it worked out really well. So I did all that, so I've got all my little die cut hearts, and then kind of figured out how I wanted my layout to be. And then all it was a matter of adhering all the hearts down, and I just used Tombow Mono Multi to do that, making sure to adhere the ones on the bottom layers first and then getting them all in place. So then I grabbed some twinery. This is the charcoal, aka black, baker's twine, and wrapped that around a couple times and then tied it in a bow. So the whole idea with this card is no pink, more simple, masculine, like something I could give to my husband if I wanted. So, although I'm not sure if I'm going to give this one to him or make a different one, we'll see what happens. Anyway, got the twine in place, and then for the main like love piece, it just kind of seemed a little bit bare, so I grabbed this is the Stampin' Up! Matte Pack. I use this all the time. I've had it for years, like 7 or 8 years, like forever. So I use that to get holes evenly spaced in each of the 4 corners, and then these are just little black mini brads. So got those in. I didn't have to worry about the backs being super flat because my plan is to mount this onto the card front with some dimensionals, which you can see right here. So put on some dimensionals so that it sticks up more from the card as the focal point, and then just put that into place. So really this is quite a quick and simple card. All in all, like, this video is only about 5 minutes long, but all in all it took me maybe 15 minutes to make the card. A little tiny bit longer with all just running everything through the Cuttlebug with all of the dies. So once I've got the card front adhered, I'm adhering it to a piece of the crumb cake cardstock. I wish they hadn't changed the name of that. I way prefer just craft. It's just craft. In my head, it's always been craft. Anyway, I still had a few hearts left over from all the die cutting, so I was like, oh, I'll just use those on the inside of the card. I die cut the striped one again because I didn't like the size of it. So once I've got that kind of how I would like it, I wasn't going to line the inside of the card or anything, just because with this kind of cardstock you can easily write like with a pen and you can read it properly. It's not too dark or anything. So I've got the hearts the way I want, and then I chose a sentiment from my lovely sentiment stamp set and inked it up with Brilliance black ink, and then just stamped it onto the inside of the card. So once I've got that, it's just a matter of adhering the hearts the way I want them. And again, just Tombow Mono Multi, just scribble a little bit on a few of the edges, press it down, and it's perfectly adhered. So yeah, again, super quick, simple card. I decided at the last minute to use up the last of the die cut hearts, and I just stuck that on the back, and that way I can like sign sign my name or stamp, hand stamp by or whatever, and that's all there is to it. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.